and welcome once again to another episode of the Horizon Roundtable. I am Bob McDonald, and you can find me on Twitter at Bob McDonald. Matt Dudek, who you can find on Twitter at Horizon Matt, will be returning from his tour shortly, so he'll be back. It looks like he will be back next episode. So joining us instead is Kyle Craven, who, if you haven't listened to it already, hit pause right now and go listen to it right now, because we posted it earlier today. His full recap of the semifinals and the finals of the Horizon League tournament. So we got Kyle Craven on today.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me on, Bob.
Absolutely. Kyle, of course, is at Norse Report. You can find him at Norse Report, and you can find him personally at Kyle Craven _NR. And he's got a bunch of stuff on at northreport.com. So you absolutely want to, definitely want to take a look at all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. We've been kind of slow on content lately, obviously, but
yes,
with some dead time going on, we're sort of building up our content bank again, and we'll be pumping some stuff out here soon. So it'll be more like evergreen type stuff.
Outstanding. Yes. Good idea, too, by the way. And joining us is John Parker, who obviously is our prolific writer over at HorizonRoundtable.com.
How's it going, guys?
No, John, of course, you can find on Twitter as well at JJParker084. And as always, you can find the podcast on Twitter as well at HorizonRT. So we're recording this on Sunday night. Now, we should be right smack dab in the middle of Selection Sunday. We should be trying to figure out where we should be talking about, where Northern Kentucky is slotted and who they're going to be playing and break all that stuff down. But, well, that's not happening.
Yeah, fucking brutal, man. Like, it sucks. We had a grad transfer that came here specifically for the chance to play in the tournament, had never had a winning season his entire career, and sorry, kid, can't play in the tournament anymore.
It is absolutely brutal, because obviously Northern Kentucky is not going to be playing in the NCAA tournament. Wright State will not be playing in the NIT, and we will not be having any. There is no CIT, so Youngstown State hosting, not happening. Potentially Green Bay, it sounded like possibly could be a CIT. That's not happening either. But it is what it is, man. I mean, you just get better safe than sorry in these trying times. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, no doubt. And I kind of mentioned it in the episode that I did, the solo episode that I did talking about the Horizon or the Horizon League tournament.
Yep.
I ran into Bill Wampler and Cole Gentry after their loss to USC, and we didn't really talk a lot, but we talked a little bit. And I left that conversation thinking, at least it's not like they were both obviously devastated, but I left that conversation thinking, you know what, at least it's not their last time playing basketball with that jersey on, because they have a guaranteed automatic bid to the NIT.
Yeah, that's true.
And now it's I feel bad for any senior that lost. I posted that thing about Manny Patterson and all that, and that was really sad. But I feel mostly for the seniors, the basketball seniors that had more games to play in their respective tournaments, and now they're just done. And then honestly, I feel even more bad for the spring sports. They were gonna, but obviously they did that thing now where spring athletes can exercise an extra year of eligibility.
That is true. So essentially what's going on is not only is the Horizon League, like quite a few other conferences, I think most conferences, March and April are canceled, folks. But to be perfectly honest, for good reason, man, because this the fucking coronavirus, man, it's everywhere. I mean, and it not only is it everywhere, it's hitting home, man. As evidenced by the Cleveland State women's coach, Chris Kilsmeyer. He tested. It was announced on Saturday he tested positive. So yeah, that shit got real.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sure. Like, there's obviously a lot of information out there kind of both ways on it.
Sure.
I think the most important thing is to try to, like, obviously it's coming to the US
Mm-hmm.
a lot later than the rest of the world. So, because obviously we're not connected to the rest of the world,
Yeah.
like by land or whatever. So it's just one of those things where like we take lessons from every other country, and what they're obviously preaching right now is social distancing and like trying to flatten that curve so we're not overrunning the hospitals and all that. And so it's one of those like crappy things that we have to do. And
Yeah.
like you'll remember, Bob and John, both of you guys are older than me, and I remember it like it was yesterday. When 9/11 happened, they basically shut the entire sports world down for a week.
They shut
Foot,
everything down for a week. I mean,
right, football, yeah, football canceled. Baseball, I know, was in the middle of the playoffs, or I'm sorry, right towards the end of the season, I should
yeah.
say. And so like, yeah, they basically shut everything down for an entire week to kind of like recalibrate and figure everything out, redo security, all that stuff. This is obviously a totally different situation because it's like
Yeah.
more long term, but
Mm-hmm.
like it's similar in that regard to where it's like the way it's affecting not just the sports world but like everything
Yeah,
is very
absolutely.
similar.
That is true. That is true. I mean, that is true. But I mean, as I alluded to, I think I posted something up. I posted up something on the Horizon Roundtable podcast, but the Twitter account. You know, this isn't unprecedented. I mean, the disease itself is obviously, but it's not the frickin' stand. I mean, we're not all gonna get wiped off the planet. This is gonna, so we're gonna get through it, and it's not like it's temporarily the end of the world, but it's not a permanent situation. It's not a permanent situation. We will get back to the games we play eventually. Just we just need to
Right.
err on the side of caution, folks.
That's
Don't
exactly, yeah, it's not the bubonic plague, but it's like they don't know what and how bad it is, so it's like why risk
Yeah,
anything
exactly,
if we can
exactly.
if we can avoid. And I think the tricky thing about this is like the testing isn't made readily available. So only people who are already sick with symptoms are the
Mhm.
ones getting tested. And
Yeah,
so like what's crazy about this pandemic is that if you have the virus, it doesn't incubate and
yeah.
start showing symptoms until like 6 to 14 days. So like I just came back from the Horizon League tournament. I
You
could have
did.
it and I wouldn't know. I mean, I got
We'd
back
rather
on
you didn't.
well, right. But what I'm saying is like, honestly, you may never know because I could literally have it and not show symptoms because I'm a
That's
healthy
true.
person that goes to the gym 4 to 6 times a week. I could never show symptoms, but still had the thing. But anyway, not to go crazy on the whole,
Yeah. No, I got it.
science behind all this stuff. But yeah,
Yeah. No, I mean, but yeah, but it's and that's kind of why, and obviously that's kind of the impetus behind all of these things is that you know we don't want to end up with a really crap ass situation where you know we don't want to end up I don't, honestly we don't from my perspective I'm pretty much I pretty much am a recluse anyway, so you guys are gonna love isolation. I'm just kind of throwing that out there from the perspective of a virtual recluse.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say this surprises people every time I mention it. Especially it'll surprise you guys because I've basically said everything on this podcast besides you, and John hasn't even said a word yet. But but I actually score on the Myers Briggs. I score a 63% introvert. So like
Yeah,
I'm just extroverted enough to like get it done, but I definitely need my like recluse time. And
yeah.
so social
Well,
distancing is
you'll
like,
be getting plenty of that soon.
well, that's what I'm saying. I kind of am enjoying it. Like I was able to say no to plans tonight. Some plans, not all plans.
Oh, we,
But we're
we know which
not
plans
gonna
you're talking about that you're
we're
not
not
gonna.
gonna bring this up. Okay, we're not gonna. But but yeah, it's like I get a government excuse to say no,
There you
and
go.
and be introverted. So it's great. Thank you.
Like, oh man, I'd love to go out, but fucking coronavirus, man.
Yeah. And like, I just blame it on my parents. Like, I still live at home for the next couple months. I actually just signed a lease, for another place, but I'm for the next couple months, I'm still living at home. And so like,
Yeah.
I can blame it on my parents. Like, I don't want to get them sick,
There you go. Perfect.
I
Yeah,
genuinely do care about my parents, by the way, but
so yeah, obviously, but beyond all that, obviously, the one thing that I guess from my perspective, the only difference between, and I've thought about this, obviously. I mean, we could think about, well, okay, well, you're doing a podcast about college basketball. What the hell are you going to talk about when there's no college basketball? But there's stuff going on. There's always stuff going on. I mean, come on, we every offseason we got to think shit up. Except last season when Dennis Felton decided to, get fired. But no, I mean, but from my perspective, it's more of a situation of, all right, well, you got to think stuff up a little earlier than usual. But thankfully, UIC obliged us on Friday in firing Steve McClain. Steve McClain, who I thought for sure saved his job, but he didn't.
Oh, man, if he would have won one more game, that article that said he and Wardle were getting fired would have been so funny to look back on.
Yeah, and I'm never getting my Taco Bell because he said that McClain was tostado. So McClain is out. Yes, see, McClain is out. So man, by the way, this actually, and I have to get confirmation of this, because since Steve McClain got fired, usually this would be not anything, because there's usually so many sports going on in Chicagoland that usually this wouldn't even register as a blip on Chicago news. But apparently, obviously, since all the sporting events and everything got canceled, McClain shows up on the news. And by the way, apparently, I have to get confirmation of this. Apparently, WGN at the end of the segment, and I have to get confirmation of this. After they ran the report about McClain getting fired, their outro music, and I got to get confirmation of this, was "Eternal Flame" by the Bangles. Someone please confirm this. My UIC, our UIC fans who listen, confirm this happened. So, but with obviously with McClain gone, with McClain out, now comes the matter of who exactly is going to be the guy. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not really 100% how this is going to go for them.
Yeah, to me, there are kind of a lot of different ways. So with the new athletic director who spent a lot of time at North Carolina State, I'm going to bring up Bobby Lutz as a potential. With that said, the last time he coached was, almost a decade ago at Charlotte as a head coach anyway. He's currently a special assistant at Nebraska with Hoiberg. He could be a guy to look at just as like a previous contact, but with that said, he is kind of like Steve McClain. So he
sounds more like Dennis Felton, so I would say that's a hard no for me, dog.
Oh, they're about the same.
That's not good. Next.
So Chris Lowry he was a candidate for Cleveland State, I believe. I know he was a candidate at Milwaukee the last time it opened when Pat Baldwin got it. Formerly at Southern Illinois, so coached in the state, though didn't go so hot. With that said, with him, his name circulating outside of the area, I figured, he could be in play. I know I've read D. Brown, currently an assistant at UIC, so I don't know. Typically, you don't fire a coach and then promote.
Hire his assistant, yeah.
Except maybe Grand Canyon could be heading that way, but that's all. We're not a WAC blog, So anyway, Jermaine Kimbrough, definitely, currently at Loyola in Chicago.
Yes.
Has experience in the Horizon League. So
as a Cleveland State assistant, and I know he applied for the Cleveland State job.
Yep,
well.
So I could actually see him being, potentially a candidate. I've seen Tracy Dildy's name. I don't think he was the UIC coach in waiting. Since then,
John, where are you seeing all this? Are you seeing these on USC boards or like? Because obviously we don't have a USC writer, so like I was just wondering who the hell we're getting all this from,
So D Brown was actually from that same article as the Tostado.
That's true.
So
Tostado.
That's just throwing stuff up against the wall.
It was basically.
Dildy was on the Coaching Changes website, which actually reported that one of Wardle's assistants at Bradley interviewed for the IUPUI job, but we can get to that in a minute.
Yes.
And it was more.
I can't stand that Twitter account, by the way.
Oh, I'm blocked. I have to log out.
Yeah, that's right. John's blocked.
I have to log out to go see it because it's garbage.
That's the part. That's so weird. That of all the people to get blocked by that account, John.
So I'll say this from like personal experience from dealing with all this last year. You actually do get input. I imagine that they have good sources, and what I mean by that is like they probably have people who are connected to people that are interviewing. I'll just give an example without giving a name. We have Norris Report definitely has a source who was very close to some of the candidates interviewing last year. And we were able to, verify, like look them up and everything and see the connections. He's also close to Darren Horn as well, who it's actually interesting. This is a side note real quick. He sent a text to Darren Horn. One day I was going to the coaches show. We have it every Monday. And he texted Darren Horn that day and said, "Hey, Kyle Craven's going to be there. Make sure you say hey to him and introduce yourself." And he DM'd me and told me he said that. And I was like, "Oh, okay. Like, we'll see if this actually even happens." Darren Horn came right up to me and said, "Hey," and introduced himself. And now every time I see him, he shakes my hand. So like this guy is a legitimate source. And he was dead set that it would be Shoemate last year. And then Darren Horn came out of nowhere. And he didn't really even know about it. And he's obviously connected with Darren Horn. So like to the coaching changes, all that to say, to the coaching change guy, to his credit, this shit is really freaking hard to like lock down.
My understanding it's an account with a bunch of different people who have the password, or at least that's how it's presented. And it definitely does seem like a lot of the info is good. I know the Cleveland State story, they were the ones who broke it, last year with, oh, hey, there's going to be a mutiny. And
the mutiny, yes.
Yep.
That is true. The one thing, and I believe when that came out, I do remember very vividly saying the one time that this account was right was that time.
So
it
seems like it's different people with different information, and one of them just kind of pumps up guys he likes, and I don't know. One of them.
Right. Well, that's the other thing is when you have insiders, you got to appease their storyline too, or else they won't give you information later. So that was something we realized with this guy, and God love him. Not going to say who this, but that's what we realized with him is like he was not just feeding us information, but he was very clearly pushing his opinion as well, and what we need to like be looking for. And so like I don't know. I realized very quickly. Like that's the type of information you generally get from people who are, sourcing it for you is like they will tell you what they want you to post basically. And so you got to be careful with that. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah. So anyway, as far as let's not talk about that account anymore.
Yes, John, we know you don't like the coaching changes site. I know we've talked about this a few times, but I know there's one name we have not mentioned, and John, I know this is a name that's near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, so the last name I would bring up, all these are just going to be kind of a couple of them things I saw on Twitter. That this would be one that does make a lot of sense. to me, Rob Jeter, former Milwaukee coach. Maybe it's a little bit of fan service to the anti-Amanda Braun contingent of the Milwaukee fan base, which at this point is most of it. But basically, I understand that it's rare for a coach to get fired and wind up back in the same league.
Never happens, actually.
Right? But
nobody ever gets to go on a conference revenge tour. Although, I mean, and I can see the virtue of Rob Jeter, and I see the logic behind it for a couple of reasons. First of all, obviously he knows the league like the back of his hand. Second of all, I mean, if we're being honest, John, you were there when it happened. I was there when it happened. I mean, we weren't there. We were sitting in the room when Amanda Braun said you're fired. But there were some circumstances behind that, I mean, believe me, I think Jimmy has waxed poetic about this multiple times on the podcast. That didn't really have anything to do with necessarily Rob Jeter's record, but apparently a lot to do with a lot of internal bullshit. That's the read on it. And I got.
Yeah, so in my eyes, the Jeter firing and the Billy Donlin firing, when their careers overlapped, so when Donlin was at Wright State, his whole tenure overlapped with Jeter's, they had the identical records.
Sure.
So to me, Donlin winding up at Kansas City, it's kind of a sign that, a coach like Jeter could end up at like that step down type of program. And right now, I mean, the Horizon League is kind of a pretty significant step down from when Rob Jeter got fired here. For all intents and purposes, it would be winding up at a UMKC.
Well, what's interesting is that you mentioned Billy Donlin, and Billy Donlin's name was actually kicked around for the Cleveland State job too. So this is not completely out of the realm of possibility, I don't think.
Yeah, and I guess basically my whole thing is it's not the same conference. If he's able to bring in a Jordan Johnson and a Matt Tybee in this Horizon League, oh my God, it's over.
Yeah, absolutely.
UIC finishes third.
Exactly. So yeah, that's it. So that's it. I think if there is an opportunity for I mean, and of course the names we've already mentioned. It's funny, again, Chris Lowry also name kicked around for the Cleveland State job as well. Mostly because of the fact Scott Garrett came from Kansas State. So, Chris Lowry is a Kansas State assistant. I think we mentioned like every single Kansas State assistant when that job came up. We did. It's true. We actually did. One of them actually was, and one of those Kansas State assistants was Jordan Henderson. Jermaine Henderson, who was an ex-Cleveland State assistant under Gary Waters. So yeah, that was weird. But yeah, so, but yeah, but as we listen to each of one of these names, and I think where we're at is what UIC needs is somebody who needs to build. I think where the conference is right now, where the Horizon League is right now, is not necessarily. I see them kind of getting away from kind of the old retreads. Mike Davis notwithstanding.
Right.
He's not. I mean, we're not really. I mean, he's not necessarily a retread, but he's definitely in a better. And he wasn't. We can't really call him that because he was in a really good situation at Texas Southern.
Let's call him a journeyman.
Journeyman. But I'll call Dennis Felton a retread all day, every day. Come on down, Denny. Come on, man. I'm sure you got your lawyers working on. I'm sure you got them lawyers working on that contract, whatever that stupid contract thing that you did. You ain't. First of all, you ain't getting that money, and you can't. Come at me, man. You can't. So you can't sue poor people. Good luck. You ain't shutting me up. Go away. Hey, I anyway. But anyway, and but yeah, so I think, and by the way, and I'd like to point out the fact that I really do think that situation alone, that Felton situation alone, if you're UIC or IUPUI, as I know we're going to talk a little bit about later, although IUPUI is in a completely different situation, do you really want to go the route of the former head coach? Do you want to go the route that Cleveland State went in terms of a young guy? And I know I keep saying retread. Here I am talking about retreads, and Darren Horn is the ex.
Hang on.
It must be. Incidentally, it
I
must be nice to have the ex-Western Kentucky coach who can actually win games.
Yeah, no. So I have a thought on that, Bob. I was thinking about this for a while. I think it really just, you have to assess where your program is, and it really it depends on like where you see yourself. Not just like, really, you have to look at it a few different ways, but mostly it's where do you see yourself next year, and then where do you see, like, where do you want to be 5 years from now? And so like Cleveland State is a great example here. They lost everyone. They lost their perennial all conference first teamer or second teamer maybe, but possibly first teamer in Appleby. And then, as you've well documented, almost everybody else. Right. And so they looked at it and said, well, we're not competing next year. We need to go out and just get, the future guy, the guy who's going to come in and build and change the culture and get us back to Cleveland State basketball. And that's what they did. They went out and got the first year hire coming from the Leonard Hamilton system. And he came in and he totally brought that Florida State athleticism and tenacity to Cleveland State. And that's one thing Cleveland State has always had. Even when they were the 8 seed and beat NKU, the reason that you guys always give us problems is because you're super athletic and you know how to use it. And so he came in and it was an obvious fit. And so he's going to build, and that program is going to really succeed under him if you can keep him for a few years. Yeah. With NKU on the flip side, we looked at our situation and said, okay, we lost Drew McDonald, we lost Chris Vogt, and we lost our recruits, but we still have a really strong core of players coming back. And we're now going on 2 tournaments in 3 years and a version of the conference championship 3 straight seasons. So like, we want to compete now, and we are on this trajectory. We don't want to take a step back. So we could have given it to the first year coach that was an assistant and Chris Shoemate. We could have given it to Darius Nichols from Florida, who interviewed for our job. We could have gave it to David Ragland, who was being talked about for our job. We could have given it to Pat Kelsey, who was being really talked about for the job. But instead,
didn't they try and he backed out? Or
I
know he did that up in UMass.
No, so there's a long story there. Actually, what I'll, without going down the rabbit hole too much, y'all can ask me about this on another episode. But I think we actually talked about it, Bob, in the episode following the Darren Horn hire. But so basically, John, just to catch you up on this, Pat Kelsey the deal was done. It was agreed to. Everything. Horn was basically from what I understand, Horn was basically the backup guy. Kelsey goes into the meeting to sign the contract and goes in and basically says, all right, so we good? And Bodoff was like, yeah, we're good. And Kelsey was like, all right, well, before I sign, I actually want I want to get out of jail free card, essentially meaning that like he could break the contract whenever he wants, if he wanted to go somewhere else, primarily if his job came up or whatever. And then there was like something else, like, I think he wanted to try to renegotiate a bigger signing bonus or something. And Bodoff was like, all right, fuck you. That's good. And so it actually worked out for us because to finish out my point, right. So to finish out my point, we looked at our team and said, we want to do 2 things. We want to continue building, but we also really want to compete for next year. And so we went with the guy who was going to do both for us. And again, he might not have, I'll tell you right now, he did not build as well as Shoemate would have in his first year, because Shoemate would have been able to retain those 3 recruits that we lost, one of them being Marcus Domask, who dominated at Southern Illinois this year as a freshman. So we lost that aspect. We also, Pat Kelsey would have been more successful as a game day coach or whatever. I seriously doubt it, but maybe. And so we took the chance and risked it, and it worked out. And I really like it because what I've told Ken Bodoff to his face is it's such a great hire for us because we got the guy who has proven to have major success at the mid-major level, and he never really saw it out. He took the first big-time job that offered him, and it ended up being an SEC job at the same he's a first-year head coach in his mid to early 30s, coaching at a program that also is paying Steve Spurrier in football. Who do you think was getting the resources? Yeah. So
Spurrier.
That's what I'm saying. So Darren Horn only got noticed when it was a bad thing. I mean, people forget that team won the SEC East the first year he was there. So like he had some marginal success, and then they just kind of fell off. And what's so great about that hire is Darren Horn is a local. He's a Lexington guy, so he's an hour and a half away from home here.
Uh-huh.
He has a lot. We're a great program to build with, and I don't see him leaving unless a really good opportunity comes up that's like going to give him the resources that he wants and needs.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that
because he's seen what the big time, how it can bite you in the ass. So all that to say, I'm good with Jeter. I'm good with a brand new guy. But what USC needs to do is they need to say, you know what, we just lost all of our contributors, all of our best players for the year. They're all going to be playing in that well, actually they won't be because it's going to be canceled. I was going to say the Mall of America 3-on-3 tournament, but right. But they need to look at it and say, we need the guy who's going to be here for 6 seasons. That's what they need to do, in my opinion.
And I think at this point in time, I think from that standpoint, I think UIC at this point is probably closer to the Cleveland State situation than they are the NKU situation. Because as you mentioned, obviously, they're losing a bunch of guys.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I say, again, I'm not opposed to Jeter coming back and doing the whole, or anybody really that has had success in the Horizon League previously, or any mid-major success coming to that's older or whatever, quote unquote retread, whatever you want to call them. But I think they need to take their time, especially with all this COVID-19 stuff going on. Like, who the hell knows what's even happening with everything? But it almost feels like that the world's been put on pause. So it's going to give them plenty of time to really dig into and ask themselves, like, what do we want out of this program? And what I would say is, don't be afraid to take a chance on a guy in his first year like a Dennis Gates, because I think that Cleveland State fans are probably pretty happy y'all did that rather than hiring a Jeter type of person.
That is true. You know what? You're absolutely right. And I think we didn't know it at the time, but what the hell do we know?
Well, and one more quick point on that, and I'll promise I'll shut up. But Jeter's going to cost you probably double to 50 to 100% more than someone like a Gates, like a first-year assistant coach.
No,
it's not going to cost you as much. You don't think?
They were both at about the same at their previous. I mean, it's $250,000, so they'd both be around $300.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. I only say that.
At Minnesota, it's honestly, being an assistant at Minnesota right now versus being an assistant at Wisconsin when he took the Milwaukee job in the first place. He's in technically a lesser position.
Yeah. So so maybe it's the program itself that dictates the salary, not necessarily the coach. At the Horizon League anyway. So what I'll say there though is if you're the AD and you take a chance on a new guy who's never coached before, that's an easier sell if he fails than if you bring on a Jeter or some other kind of retread. That does fail, because the expectations are obviously just naturally going to be higher.
Speaking of expectations, obviously we have one school that I'm not sure what we should expect at this point. That's IUPUI, because as of right now, Byron Rim is still the head coach. As of right now, nobody has transferred. Which by the way, in the face of the fact that we've already seen Steve McClain get fired. In the face of the fact we're already starting to see transfers now, IUPUI is staying put. Right now, everybody is staying put.
I think the thing with IUPUI, from what I understand, is for all intents and purposes, the job is open. Just they haven't officially said one isn't getting it. Because I did see it come out today that Bradley assistant Drew Adams had interviewed for the IUPUI job.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking Tracy Dildy into existence there.
So
I know you're speaking Benji Taylor into existence.
I don't want, think about this, guys. We don't want a coach with the last name Dildy in this conference, because then we're going to have to deal with Valhalla Vanguard making fun of that last name twice a year.
Are you kidding me? I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to that.
I guess.
Why do you think I'm speaking into existence, Kyle?
Sure. Yeah, as their pseudo big brother who sometimes gets looped in with what they're doing, I don't want to have to be answering for people that I have no control over.
Yeah, you might not. You know what? You're probably not wrong. But yeah, it just seems. Yeah, I mean, do we? If we're gonna go, I mean, and it's funny because we talk about some of these same. I would think we're talking about the same guy. We've heard the names.
Some of the same guys, yeah.
We've heard Dildy. We've heard Dildy. I believe Benji Taylor's name's been kicked out around over for the CUIC job as well. Jermaine Kimbrough's name could pop up for this too. I know Stan Gerard of U of Indy
would be the first guy I'd call. With that said, the issue I could see there, if they have any aspirations of trying to be the next Northern Kentucky, he's in a better spot. I mean, I think UIndy finished borderline top 10 this year in Division II. If they played IUPUI this year, I think they win. If you consider that it sure seems like Marcus Burke is gone, it sure seems
so sad to say, man, because
the other guys are gone. Next year, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know what UIndy's roster is like as far as, how many seniors they have. If they retain most of their roster, they might be favored by a lot next year.
Oh my God.
I don't see any possible way. I don't see any possible way that Marcus Burke or Jalen Minette come back.
Jalen Minette, well, again, the Jalen Minette situation is a little different because he would have to sit out a year first.
Do you think if there's a coaching change though?
Unless again the NCAA decides, screw it, you guys can have that one-time waiver.
Well, here's
and I think you know what? And I think
we gotta stop acting like we know it. I'm not. This isn't me coming on to you or yelling at you guys, but I'm just saying in general. We all got to stop acting like we understand what's about to happen, because there's so much stuff being talked about.
And I think that's what I'm saying.
I think one reason why we haven't seen some players that we have been expecting enter the transfer portal is because we don't even know if seniors are going to get an extra year of eligibility back. That's something that is being legitimately talked about.
Yes, because I'm sure everybody at IUPUI is dying to repeat this year.
No. What I'm saying is that just changes the math on everything. Like if Tyler Sharp and Dantez Walton and Carl Harris are given an extra year because they missed their tournament, then that automatically limits, or that kind of changes plans on who NKU is going to try to bring in. So just do that math across the board. That kind of shifts the paradigm on who's going where and who can transfer where, what teams need a senior to come in and help them out.
So for me, with Marcus Burke, you look at some of the similar players from last year, Rajon Tucker from Little Rock and Christian Keeling from, well, I'll just get straight to the point, currently at North Carolina. They're, similar players to what Marcus Burke is, and they're getting looked at by Duke and North Carolina and Kansas. Tucker, I believe, was going to transfer to Kansas before he failed to graduate. So a guy like Marcus Burke can go literally anywhere he wants, regardless. That's going to be on the table for him.
That's true. I mean, and there's no doubt about that. But so I think Marcus Burke would probably be the one guy. But again, Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right, Kyle, that there's, a lot of different moving parts. At the same time, you can't deny the fact that, I mean, even if they are granted, if there's an extra year granted, um, whoever's going to come in as their, and I think it's going to depend upon who's going to come in as the head coach, because we don't know who it's going to be. I'm not 100% sure they stay. No, even if they do get another, even if the eligibility thing changes, I don't think they stay.
Well, that was another thing I was going to
It just
say.
doesn't seem to me that would be. It doesn't. I mean, other situations like the NKU situation. Yes, I would believe that. Cleveland State would be. They only have 2 seniors. One of them missed most of the year with injury. Jalen Williams. God knows I'd love to have him for an actual year. But man, I don't know. But yeah, but IUPUI on the other hand, I don't know.
Well, and that's another thing I was going to say is like, with all this stuff going on, it's really like, it's so unpredictable what the NCAA is going to decide. Like maybe the NCAA decides, because of how crazy the season was. And again, this is totally just like me just speculating here, but like, because of how crazy the season ended, if they do allow seniors to come back who were tournament eligible or whatever, who's to say they won't allow players just one free transfer going into the next year? Like they might. I mean,
well, even before everything got canceled, though, there has been a discussion about that already, and I know some of the major conferences are already signed off on it. They're like, yeah, that would be fine. And that's usually kind of that's usually the canary in the coal mine when you see some of these Power 5 schools saying, yeah, that would be one-time transfer. Exactly. Yeah. So when you see that happening, it's pretty clear it's only a matter of time before something like this becomes the law of the land, and and especially considering how stupid the transfer portal was and the transfer waivers and all that stuff, how stupid that process was this past year. The NCAA needs to pull out some do something that doesn't make them look like complete incompetent boobs. And I don't think they, or they don't care. I don't know. But I think I think that will probably play. I think that will come into play. And I think that will come into play specifically for Jalen Minette. And again, whether eligibility is granted for those who are tournament eligible remains to be seen. But yeah, again, there's a lot of moving parts on that. Not to mention, not only there's moving parts of, okay, well, not just for those existing players, but also the incoming recruits. How is that going to affect scholarship counts and things like that? And I don't know if that's a thing that will actually be resolved. And I mean, everybody's sitting around, do a Skype meeting, get on Zoom, get on Skype, hammer this stuff out in self-isolation, people.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is like it's a conjunction too. Like, so here's the thing. Because this is something that is still possible. I'm not saying that it will happen, but it's like, I would say definitely it's not dead, like just write it off. Like they could still do some form of this tournament. If all this stuff passes away in 3 weeks, they could still do something with college basketball, maybe. But like then you have to work it out with the NBA that their draft gets pushed back or something. We have to. There's so many moving parts, and then you have to look at like if you're offering these players an extra year to come back. Do you offer it across the board? Probably not. You would almost have to offer it to teams that were tournament eligible. But then you're given this ridiculous advantage to like teams that were already at the top of their league. Yeah, exactly. These teams that were already at the top of their league are now going to get 24-year-olds back on their team. Like that's not fair, But at the same time, is it fair to Tyler Sharp to not let him, just sorry, buddy, that's life. Like
you had to bring that one up.
Well, we're not gonna. Well, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole.
Real quick. Overall, I think. I mean, even for Dantes Walton, for the other seniors on teams that were going to from Winthrop, from Northern Kentucky, from the low seeded teams. I don't think it would be quite right to give them a whole year because realistically they only had one game. But when you bring up Tyler Sharp,
that's a whole other
he
can of worms.
played 11 minutes. The NCAA took realistically 30-some minutes from him.
Yeah.
When you start bringing that up, that gets interesting to me. Especially since he's a walk-on. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what's crazy is I think that Tyler had a better chance of getting that extra year had this Corona stuff not happened. But now that it's happened, well, yeah, because now that it's happened, like Tyler was an isolated case, but now you have now you have 1,000 kids that are in a similar, not a similar situation, but like a situation where their season ended early, and so Tyler kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Which, so like perfect example. Like, sorry, go ahead.
No. I mean, I could see that, but I guess my thought is the NCAA mandated that he lose more than 11 minutes for, things outside his control. And so
of course,
to me, it feels like, but I totally agree. It would, why did he get that year back and we didn't?
It just gives the NCAA plausible deniability now to be able to be like, well, hey, I mean, sorry, we've been busy. We couldn't get to this one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and ultimately, what the hell do they care about a team from the 24th ranked conference in the country? Like, that's what sucks about all this is like, will you really think that the NCAA is going to move mountains on Tyler Sharp because Jay Billis tweeted about it? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Good question. So, and a question we'll probably be asking ourselves for a long, as long as the off season lasts, which,
will be longer than any other one.
It is now.
Can we just podcast, just keep this running for the next 2 weeks? So I don't even have
We're literally going to be doing that. Well, we're literally going to be doing that anyway. Let's be honest, because again.
Hey, John.
I don't know, man.
On that College Hoops 2K8, can you create a school on it?
No, sorry, buddy.
Dude,
who has similar colors in the Horizon League?
Who is it?
There's a school in the Horizon League with similar colors. Just saying.
Milwaukee, yeah. Well, I was just gonna say if you could actually do the create a school, because on the EA Sports version of that game you could do that. So I was gonna say if you could, you absolutely should, and we should just like check in with you every week and like talk about how that's going for you. But if Northern Kentucky can't be involved, then I don't care about it. No offense. Just kidding.
All right.
I think I've proved in those 2 days that I can be unbiased and impartial. So
you did. That is true. That is very true. So
both teams played hard, man.
Dude, my Twitter is going
objectivity.
Objective. Yeah, what was it? Hashtag objective journalism or whatever. I love how I kept calling myself a journalist when, like, let's just be honest. I mean, I'm not a journalist. I was interviewing fans.
Oh man, you know what? Oh, and I wanted to ask about that, but I'm not gonna.
About the cow story?
About the freaking cow, yes.
Well,
oh my God.
So yeah, I actually left that out on the podcast, but that's on the docket for the article I'm writing. I'm actually not even I'm gonna maybe dedicate like 4 sentences total to like the on the court action in my article, because I'm just gonna be honest. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, dude. Like, I was thinking about this. People that read Norse Report and people that read Horizon Roundtable articles, dude, they are not casual fans. Like, people who read the like newspaper are casual fans. People who are coming to those sites, they watch the games. They don't need me to tell them about how, Loudon Love got only 6 points in that game. They freaking know. They watched. So, like, why would I even talk about that? I want to talk about, like, the experience and what it felt like to be there, because a lot of Horizon League fans weren't.
And the cow, UIC Pepe and cow, we can't miss that.
Yeah, so
I would be actually very disappointed if I don't see that in the article. I will see that in the draft, and I'll be like, "This is denied, Kyle. Put some more stuff about the damn cow."
No, I'm gonna tease it. I'll tease it real quick. So it's sort of a layered thing. Like when I was sitting down talking to her, I even told her like, okay, I feel like when you graduate, you're gonna go off and you're gonna write the next Marvel script because like it the way the Marvel movies are, it's like they're so like layered. There's so many
Yeah.
things that are connected to all the other like movies and characters, and that's kind of how this story is. It's got like three different layers, and I don't even know like where her mind started to get this idea. But I will just say this: it is all connected to the Chicago fire. If you have ever heard about that, it was like a fire that happened in the 1800s that like wiped out 2/3 of the city. So
That's right. Homage to Mrs. O'Leary's cow. All right, I'm down.
there you go. Yeah. So we'll talk about it in the article.
All right.
But,
So that's going to be coming out. So Kyle's written recap, specifically, which will have more cow. I got a fever, and my only prescription is more cow.
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm going hell. All right, so yeah, Kyle, John, thank you again for coming on the podcast. Appreciate it. Well, we're gonna have a long off season, so I'm probably gonna have you guys on a few more times. Matt comes back next episode, so we talked about a few things we're gonna do. So that's gonna wrap it up. As always, you can find episodes of the Horizon Roundtable and a whole lot more at horizonroundtable.com. Yes, wait.
Quick,
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Before we go offline, I'm sorry. I want to issue a challenge real quick. This is a challenge. Yes, this is a challenge to all of us as the Horizon Roundtable team. We should hit the ground hard. We have a few extra weeks now that the season's been canceled. We should hit the ground hard, and we should take it upon ourselves to go out and find a fan from one of us each. Find a fan from another fan base that wants to come on board and at least get on the podcast to represent their fan base. Then we can talk about like bringing them on the show or bringing them on the writing staff. But I think that's
Royale. That's right. We still have people that need the fan battle royale. First Sunday of May. I swear, and I'm gonna actually have that page up. It actually has has kind of the historical who's been on the fan battle royale. But we need all 11. Because as of right now, Fort Wayne, you're on the clock. You need your fans. You need to get them on the fan battle royale. And I swear to you, and like I said in the Fall Fan Forum, if you do not have fan representation, you will be openly ridiculed. Ask IUPUI fan how that works. Ask him how it works.
It did not work well for them the last time I was on. It did not end
well. So you get it. So that is the challenge, you know. So we need. I'm taking your challenge, Kyle, and tying it into the 2020 Jimmy Lemke fan battle royale. And I know it's going to be hard for some of you. I know the Milwaukee fan base is broken, so this is going to be tough for you guys. Detroit's
I might have to come on and be the IUPUI fan because
you cannot help them out. This is not phone a friend. This is not how to. No.
Well, I'm not going to come on as that other school.
So Detroit Mercy has their fan all taken. They're coming on. I got them. NKU, I believe Chris Boggs is coming back. The OG. I believe he's going to be back. I got to confirm it with him. Youngstown State is covered this year. We got Banana Man. I know you love Banana Man. Kyle. He's going to be on the fan battle royale.
We made amends. We made amends, by the way. He came down. Nice. He came down at the after they beat us, and I was the bigger man. But he was also a big man as well for putting all that aside. And we shook hands, and I congratulated him. And then we beat that ass. Well, not officially, but we won the tournament, so that's all that matters.
But yeah, so I can confirm Banana Man on the he's going to be on. And then who else? UIC. We got to have some conversations. I know you all follow. I know a few of you follow us, and I know you have something to say. I know you're out there. UIC John, I know you're out there.
He might be back in now. He might be back in after Friday.
I'm looking at you, UIC John. I need you. Green Bay. I mean, basically, it'll just be. I figure Jim Serra is going to be. He'll. There's a gaggle of guys up there. They're fine. They just got to figure it out. Oakland's fine. I'm not worried about them. Cleveland State is an issue. We're gonna have some. If I have to, I swear on everything that is holy.
No, you're not allowed.
If there is no Cleveland State representation at the Fan Battle Royale, I'm going to go rip shit riot on all of you. I swear.
Are you guys
after everything that we've been through in the last year, and nobody wants to come on there from Cleveland State, I am gonna be so pissed off. That, I mean, I swear that first episode is just going to be me bitching about you, damn it, and not John Durda. Forget him; he's banned for life.
What about
Durda's banned?
Are you guys followed by that Jaden Strombolia guy or whatever his name is?
Jaden Stambolia. He actually is. He was supposed to write for us.
Well, yes, but he got really involved with the women's team. But what I was going to say
he's one of the managers. He's one of
the
managers.
So what I was going to say is he's a guy that we should be, and probably we should maybe not necessarily be talking about this on a live broadcast, but he's a guy that we could probably reach out to and see if we can't find people through him that.
I know. Oh, wait, we're going to have a conversation. He knows them all. I know this. I know this because I know because we could have Phil Daniels, but that could end badly as well. If I know Phil's available, probably.
Is he credit card purchase? Who the hell's that guy?
Yes.
Yeah,
HLTA 2020. I know. No, he's Phil's an acquired taste. I've blocked him at least twice in the last 2 years. I keep on blocking him. I've blocked him a few times. He expects to be blocked again. I'm sure I will, but not now. But again, Kyle, I'm glad you brought up the fan challenge, the fan battle royale. First Sunday of May. We record at noon Eastern time. If you're not on board yet, be on board. Our DMs are open. HorizonRoundtable@gmail.com. We're gonna even have I'm gonna have the Fan Battle Royale page up this week. I promise. And there's actually gonna be an entry form on that page. So you don't even need it. So you can just go to HorizonRoundtable.com. It will be there. I promise it will be there. I know I've been slacking off on that, but it'll definitely be there. But yes. That's what we're see we have so much to look forward to, and we can do it social distancing.
Yes, you gotta take the positives out of the situation. For us, we get a chance to take a step back and get organized and try to start doing some recruiting, and that's the same. It should be the same for HZRT. Like,
yes,
this brand can be huge, but we gotta have more than just 5 people.
And incidentally, I will say this: we actually do have, we do have another Cleveland. We now have a Cleveland State writer coming back on board, Alec Quaid. So he's coming in. He's definitely going to be writing for us next year.
He saw that Coach of the Year pop up, and he was like, "All right, I guess I'm on board now."
No, he actually that requires Alec used to write for me when at the old my old site Campus Press Box.
I'm just teasing, by the way.
Yeah, but yeah, he was actually John Carroll, and he's coming back to Cleveland State to finish his degree. So he's like, so once I saw that, I'm like, okay, I got to get him to write again. So he's gonna write again. But yeah, but yeah, and I know Carrick is gonna be I gotta fix Carrick's access because I think something's wrong with his.
I forgot about Carrick.
I know you saw it. I was like, what the hell?
I'm such a jerk. I was trying to think about it at the time, and no, it's not. It's brutal. I gotta apologize to him for that. Damn.
All right, so but yeah, Carrick's gonna be around. Mark Weems, he's gonna be around for Youngstown State. So, all the rest of you, we'll have a conversation. We'll have a conversation about the Fan Battle Royale. We'll definitely have a conversation about HorizonRoundtable.com, which, by the way, is where you can find all our podcasts, every single one of them, since 2016. No, 2015, because we started at the end of 2015.
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why. I don't know where that came from. But yeah, so but you can find, and again, you can also find episodes of the Horizon Roundtable where you find podcasts. Subscribe, so you don't even have to worry about it. Just hit subscribe on your app, and it'll magically pop up, so you don't have to go to it every time. I know you'll do it. I think probably. Maybe, dear God, please. We've only been doing it so long. Please, no. Yeah, that's always the spiel. So, thank you guys again for joining us, and thank you all for listening.